brainwashing and thinking that you're going to burn in hell for practicing your language, history, and traditions. And I'm so proud and grateful that I'm a member of the Language and Culture Department whose goal is to revitalize our language, history, and culture. Every day we are doing this. That's our primary goal. And then we also have the 13 grassroots family members whose goal is to work on helping with the 215 ancestors, and Leslie has helped to find the best of the best so that the Western science and our traditional knowledge keepers will do what we must do for the 215 ancestors so that we will be able to repatriate them eventually. It could be a decade or so before this is done, but the 13 grassroots family members, I hold my hands up to you and to the Language and Culture Department and Chief and Council for all the work that you do in making this work done. And every Friday, the Language and Culture Department staff, there are some of us that will go to where the ancestors are buried, and we sing to them. We sing and pray to them so that they will never be forgotten, to let them know that they have been found and that we are getting messages from the other ancestors, because you have to know only a little over 2 acres out of 160 acres have been checked with the GPR study, our survey. So we have a lot of work yet to do. We are committed. We are the caretakers of these 215 ancestors, and so we are very committed that we will always do this for our little ones. And I just want to acknowledge my 3 grandchildren that are sitting in the stands. This is work that we do for our children and our grandchildren because we love them so much. Children, every child matters, and I hope that this is something that people within our communities and Canada will acknowledge every day of their life so that this kind of atrocity never ever happens. So on this day, I pray that every Canadian, yellow, black, red, or white, will always acknowledge and honor each child, those that are here and those that are yet unborn. That's really important for going forward so that we will have true reconciliation, that we will no longer have inequality, that there will be justice for all. So on this day, I pray that each and every one of us, that the Creator will go through each and every one of our bodies. If there's any negative thoughts or feelings, I pray that you'll take it away, and that instead you'll fill us with a deep love and respect for ourselves, for others, and for all of creation. And I pray on this day that you'll open up our minds so that we may give and accept wisdom, and that we will really be open to learning and understanding what has happened here, and that we'll open up our eyes so that we will really, truly see the beauty in all of creation, and that we will make it a point to see the goodness in others. Because if we don't make a change in how we view the world, things will never change. And I pray that when we open our mouths to speak, we will always speak honestly and truthfully, and always take a few moments to choose our words carefully so that we will build people up and never put people down. And this is so very true for our little ones. The things you say to them will shape them. So speak your words carefully to your little ones and really let them know how much you care about them. I pray that you'll open up our ears so that we will really listen to what is being said on this day. Because sometimes when people are speaking, other people will just speak over them and not really truly listen to what they are saying. and that you'll really open up your ears so that all of your filters, all of your thoughts from before will be taken away, so that you'll really learn, that you'll really take time to listen and learn. I pray that you'll open up your hearts so that you may give and accept love unconditionally. And I say again, this is especially true for our little ones. Every child needs to know that they are loved and respected and valued within our communities. Every child, and all of the survivors, we made it. We survived all of the atrocities that happened to us. My daughter was telling her partner, to put it into perspective, if our mom or our dad were one of those that were buried, my mom and dad had 9 children. There are many grandchildren and nieces and nephews that wouldn't be here today if something had happened to them. So you have to think, with the 215 that we have found, the whole generation in one family would be gone. So I pray that you will help each and every one of us on this day, my Creator, grandfathers and grandmothers. And I just want to say, I wore Doreen Louise. She was my partner throughout all my residential school days and my day scholar days. We were friends for life. And when she passed, she was one of the day scholar plaintiffs along with us. And I got this from the family. And this was Mary Uslick's medicine lady that was our family member. She had given it to Doreen, and Doreen, through her passing, had passed it on to me. And there's also our elder, Violet Goffredson, who is also another day scholar plaintiff. I want to ensure that I honor her today because she is not here with us. And I want to honor my brother, John. I brought his tobacco tie because he inspired me. Before I went to the residential school, he taught me how to read and write and fight. He said, that's what you need to know before you go to the school. And it did help, because there was a lot of bullying that happened. It wasn't just the priests and the nuns. You also had to be careful. And so a lot of our older brothers, when we were at the school, took care of us. And I see my girl there. She made this ribbon dress for me. She is my brother John's granddaughter, and her great-grandson Kunu and Wazia are there with her. I love my brother so much, and so he is living on through his son and through his granddaughter and great-grandchildren. Cooks Checham, I give you thanks. Eastruks.
White, everyone. I want to thank our elder Dina for those powerful words to start this day. This is a day of truth and reconciliation. It's a beautiful day today. A day for us to all get together, communicate, talk about the calls to action, look inside and see what this day means to you for truth and reconciliation. Whether you're Indigenous, First Nation, or non, it means something to us all. So my name is George Kasner. I'll be co-emceeing with Josh Goffredson. It's our honor to be here today. We have so many wonderful guests. We have singers, hand drummers, our elders, people who've traveled many miles to be here. You know, I looked outside this morning and I saw the wind, and I thought about the rain, and I thought about what we've all gone through in the last few months of extreme heat, wildfire, evacuation, drought, smoke. Today, this is a blessing, what we have. So we look forward to enjoying this wonderful day together. And I want to introduce Sage Hills. They're going to start us off with the honor song and move into the jingle dress song to start our day. Oh, yeah. The Secwepemc welcome song. My apologies.
Jingle dress, yeah.
That's so powerful. We've requested one more song. Woohoo. If anybody has a feeling that they want to come out and dance, please feel free. Cook's Jam, Sage Hills. Cook's Jam to the powerful women out dancing. Cook's Jam. So before I start with the housekeeping notes, I want to ask that Kamloops Secwepemc Chief and Council, Cookbee and Council start congregating on the right side of the stage. So some of the necessities that people need to know is that on the west and the east side, we have the ladies and men's washrooms. We want to acknowledge the COVID-19 protocols, social distancing. We recommend masks. They can't hear you. They can't? And we have all the hand sanitizer stations all available. We want to acknowledge that we do have a lot of cultural support, mental health support. We have first aid security. We have on the right side over here the Indian Residential School Society. They're set up right to the right side of the booth here. So some Laylam. They are also here to help with cultural support. There's also support at the monument up by the residential school. We want to also acknowledge that there are media for the live Zoom that's happening all day long, well until 3 p.m. And this event is being live streamed. We'll be having refreshments and snacks at 1 p.m. So we have from First Nations Health Authority, we have 30 support staff on site. You know, we have John Leonard and Sherry License doing the security and helping everywhere they can. They have 12 folks on site. Charles Dumont is taking care, helping people with the traffic. So before we get to our leadership at Tk'emlúps te Secwepemc, I also want to acknowledge Norman Metaskut, right here. You know, we had a very short time to put things together, and when we called out to him to ask him to provide some drums, the beautiful 215. So he put together with his daughter the 20 drums, and I just want to give him a special Cook's Jam. Those will be very powerful gifts throughout the day. So I'll hand it over to Josh.
All right, how about those singers and dancers, folks? Way to wake up this morning. Woo! And this place is buzzing for a second. Remind me of Kamloops. We have up next our Tk'emlúps te Secwepemc leadership, and they're going to be doing a presentation here, speaking to us. Cookbee Roseanne Casmer, Councillor Jeanette Jules, Councillor Katie Gottfredson, Councillor Marie Baptiste, Councillor Justin Gottfredson, Councillor Sonny Leonard, and Councillor Thomas Blank. Please help me welcome them to the stage.
Josh, can I take my mask off when I'm talking? Okay, thank you. So I have about 12 minutes, then I'll let you guys each say something. Okay? Is that okay?
You got 12 minutes?
Yeah.
Okay,
Well, yeah.
okay.
Excellent.
Okay, well, we're setting
Okay. Like Pawaiisip, Cookbee Roseanne Casmer West, Tk'emlúps te Secwepemc. I am very honored to be here with all of you, and so honored to have each and every single one of you joining us today. Today is National Truth and Reconciliation Day. Today, we are together and we are acknowledging our survivors, our intergenerational survivors, and all of us for all the generational impacts that we have endured. And I'm truly honored to be up here with my council, Tk'emlúps te Secwepemc's leadership, and really honored to have everyone join us today. So elders, knowledge keepers, hereditary chiefs, and matriarch, our national chief, our regional chief, our grand chiefs, our cookbies, our youth, our mayor from the city of Kamloops, and all our honored guests that are with us today, joining us today on the very first National Day of Truth and Reconciliation, and also to those that are joining us virtually today, September the 30th. Poopsman and Anelia Tasik, I am truly honored to be here joining all of you today. What a joy to welcome you to our community, the Kamloops to Secwepemc and Secwepemc Ulu. I am the elected cookbee for my community within Secwepemc Ulu, and I have served 9 years as a council member and 3 years as chief cookbee for Kamloops to Secwepemc. I truly uphold my elders and my members of the Kamloops to Secwepemc with honor, pride, respect, and integrity. Just imagine, not very long ago, in this very place within our arbor, at the end of August, we were wrapping up our service as an emergency operations center for all the wildfire evacuees. Our thoughts and our prayers are with all of those who have been impacted and affected by the recent wildfires throughout the province. The Kamloops to Secwepemc leadership are extremely grateful for our members and all of our consultants from our neighboring communities who were there as ambassadors to support all who needed a safe space and place for the evacuees here in our arbor, or greeting them and supporting them, for those that came to mourn and grieve with us and or participate in the many healing journeys that we bore witness and are participated in with solidarity for the Liskwai, the missing, and those that were bringing their spirits home. We gather today in the Kamloops Powwow Arbor, created as a special place to welcome and to share, gather, and ceremony. I want to thank my council and my membership for walking with us since we shared the confirmation of the knowing of the Indian residential school survivors at the end of May. I appreciate the former Kamloops to Secwepemc cookbies for stepping forward to offer their support and insight. So I truly hold my hands up to previous cookbies, Manny Jules, Fred Seymour, Bonnie Leonard, and Shane Gottfredson. Our community continues to navigate the complexities of the impacts following the horrific findings of the Liskwai, the missing. We also knew that this was just the start of the story and that other residential schools would likely have similar findings, and they have. In thinking about the very first National Day of Truth and Reconciliation, we have also reflected on the losses experienced by many of our relations due to the COVID-19 since the onset of this global pandemic. Our hopes for an in-person gathering were dashed with specific interior health protocols that limited people gathering, but we are so grateful for the safe parameters that are made today and bringing us to all of us together in a very safe way. We're so grateful to the National Truth Center of Reconciliation and their Executive Director, Stephanie Scott, for approaching us to participate in their national special broadcast. They also chose to uphold our vision to share something of significance virtually on the very first National Day of Truth and Reconciliation, and help us to create a video where we could truly honor Kamloops Indian residential school survivors, the missing children in our care, and the intergenerational survivors. We chose to honor them by demonstrating how, despite the concerted efforts of the federally mandated Indian residential schools to eradicate our culture, our language, and ways of being. Today, we are reclaiming and revitalizing our Secwepemc language, traditions, and ways of knowing. Today, when we started our program, we brought in our cultural protocols. I thank Elder Dina Jules for starting us off in a good way with the opening prayer and sharing what we're doing here at the Commonwealth of Secwepemc. And I also want to hold my hands up to Sage Hills for starting us off in a good way with the welcome song. And our knowledge keepers who went out on the grass and welcomed you. Thanking the Creator for bringing all of you here to the grounds of the Commonwealth of Secwepemc. And also for the beautiful the beautiful jingle dance dressers who came out. So important to have that and sharing that with you today. So with that, it's about revitalizing, taking it back, resharing, relearning, reteaching those Secwepemc language and traditions and ways of knowing. My deepest gratitude to the residential school survivors who never relented, who maintained their language by whatever means were necessary. I honor the knowledge keepers and ceremonial people who kept our ceremonies alive no matter what, so that we could reconnect to them again, just like we did today. I encourage you to take some time to watch our new video premiering today. Will always be here and bear witness to the beauty of Secwepemc people, language, lands, and cultural expression. I want to give a particular thanks to the Commonwealth of Secwepemc Department of Language and Culture, who ensured the cultural integrity of the video, that it would be true reflection of who we are. Given all that has been done from the sharing of the confirmation of the Kamloops Indian Residential School, missing children, let's go in our care, and we appreciate all those who stepped out to help out in today's event. I truly appreciate, on behalf of the Commonwealth of Secwepemc, Community Futures Corporation of Central Interior First Nations coming out to support us. Kyle Kreutzer and Julie John for organizing this event in such a short window of time. So I just want to also say Kuksjachim to both George and also to Josh for emceeing today's event. On behalf of this Day of Truth and Reconciliation, I also want to share with you and reflect on some of the truths that I've also shared with the media. So it's about talking about the records. We know that the death registry for the Kamloops Indian Residential School lists only 15 deaths during its time of operation, while we have worked with both survivors and a remote sensing specialist to confirm at least 200 unmarked burial sites. And our work, we know, has only just begun. We're also aware of the fact that specific instances of death of children during the operation of the school were not taken seriously by civil authorities, including the police, prosecutions, and those in justice roles in British Columbia and in Canada. Records of deaths were not required or maintained by the federal government until after 1935. And we know that some of these were destroyed by Canada and others. So as a result of the families and communities, they were not properly informed of the fate of the children who did not make it home. We know that many have not made it home and still have unanswered questions. We further express the importance that under the international humanitarian and criminal law, that there are domestic law responsibilities to investigate and hold individuals to account when mass human rights violations have occurred. We believe this is such a situation of mass human rights violations and that we're concerned it might reflect behavior that is negative, criminal, also including suggesting violations of humanitarian law and genocide. So as we work on the next steps to identify those in unmarked graves and collect the information regarding the operation of the school, it'll be important for all legal processes, and normative considerations to be understood, including by our First Nations and the others from which children were taken. So as an intergenerational survivor of Indian residential schools, and as a chief who serves a First Nation, where the past is truly remembered by the very big footprint of an Indian residential school in our community, Orange Shirt Day is important to our community and others right across Canada and nationally and throughout the world. This year, it is especially poignant as we brought forward the confirmation of the unmarked graves of missing children from the Kamloops Indian Residential School. Many Canadians have been awakened since the news broke, and I have heard many comments from many relations saying, people are looking at me differently. People want to listen to my story. And they're also asking me about my story. And this feels like for many that this is the first time in Canadian history that non-Indigenous people are really listening and understanding what residential school is all about. This is a very important first step. So we extend our deep appreciation to all those standing in solidarity with the Kamloops to Secwepemc, and it's time that we all embrace our real collective history, recognizing the painful past shared by so many, and continue on a path that we can change for all our future generations. We want all of you to know that this is not just a media story and not just one today. This is a story of whose time has come and gone, and we want to ensure that justice and accountability happens in the long term, which means keeping pressure on our politicians and the church to do the right thing. We have all been impacted locally, regionally, nationally, and globally. Our elders are saying that it is the children that are going to bring us together. So let us all lean in to be that hope and that change in making a difference to ensure that every child matters. Cooksjatchim, on behalf of all of us, and we thank you for the outpouring of love, prayers, and for the support that our community and our membership and our leadership have received during this time. And we also uphold each and every single one of you. And so when I think about what does today mean for me, it is this, exactly this. It's all of us as First Nations and our non-First Nation friends who are with us, and upholding that unity of every child matters. And it is the children in the unmarked graves who have woken us all up to do our part to work towards reconciling all of our collective history. So I just wanted to say Cooksjatchim, Cooksjam. At this time, I would like to take the opportunity and also bring up my council, each to share and say a few words with all of you. I could not be up here doing what I do with the support of my council and my community to continue giving all of us the support that we need to continue doing what we need to do and what we need to do collectively. So Cooksjatchim. I'll call up Councillor Jeanette Jules next.
Waik to Whitem. Jeanette Jules and Squex to Kamipala to Kamloops to Secwepemc. I hold my hands up to each and every one of you that have come out here today. But I also say a special prayer and give thanksgiving to the thunder beings and to the water that is here today. The teachings I received from my grandparents, my great-grandparents, and my aunts and uncles is that water is cleansing, the rain is cleansing. The thunder beings are the ones who clean and take care of the people who look after the sacred pipes, the sacred bundles, who look after the knowledge keepers. And today we need to hold our hands up to all those that are across this country and around the world who have held up their sacred objects, their pipes, their fans, their smudge, their other sacred medicines, who've said prayers across this country for all of the children that are in unmarked graves, who never made it home. Today, I hold my hands up to the Thunder beings for being here, and that the Thunder Horse will come and take the message from the hearts of each and every one of us up to the Creator, so that the Creator can look down upon us and know that we have not forgotten. The teachings, the knowledge of our elders, that our children had gone missing, that our children had not made it home. Straight across this country, they say over 4,000. There are more than 4,000 children across this country who never made it home. When you look at the legislative policies, procedures, acts that are within the federal government or within the provincial governments that hold us back, all of those need to change. We talk about reconciliation. Today is about the Truth and Reconciliation Day. And I am grateful that that has happened, as well as Orange Shirt Day, in recognition of residential school survivors, day scholars, day school, all those that suffered in Indian hospitals. All of those truths need to be brought forward. But in order to have true reconciliation, all levels of government need to take a look at their legislative policies that are still in place, that still hold us down. And we need to move forward across this country in order for those to change. The human rights violations that are there, everybody talks about changing the acts, making sure that people have safe drinking water when you look at the rain coming down here. That's a human right. It's not a policy or a procedure. It is a human right that people have access to clean drinking water. And we need to ensure that happens straight across this country on every Indian Act reserve. Not just state it and say that we're going to do it. And today we are still waiting across this country. I need to, I went to this residential school. I was a day scholar. The day that we brought in the eagle that sits to the south, and all the residential school survivors that came, we did this as to Kamloops to Secwepemc to honor. And today, it totally honors, because the grandfather eagle is the one who takes our prayers. That is the job that Tailukpi and Sinkuluch, when they were talking and setting right after the time of the transformers, when Talisa and his brothers were walking through the land, setting through things right in Secwepemc Uluch. The eagle is the one who came forward and stated that he would be the one who flies the highest to bring our thoughts, our words, our prayers up to the Creator. And today, the thoughts, the words, the prayers that each and every one of us have for the children who have gone missing, for the survivors that are still here today, for the generational survivors. That eagle that we have here means so much, because it is bringing all of that. And we can talk about reconciliation and ensure that reconciliation moves forward. But we also need to start talking about reconstituting our language, our culture, our traditions, our ceremony, our spirituality, all those things that were forced from us. I was fortunate, as my sister said in her prayer, to be raised up in those mountains by my grandparents and my mom and dad and all my aunts and uncles, to be taught our songs, our dances, our medicines, despite residential school, despite all of the things that we had to go through. And we need to ensure that our children have our language that was ripped from the throats of our people. I understand. I used to be able to speak our language. I understand our language, but we need to move forward so that our language is there and it is a part of every single being, because our language ties us to the land, it ties us to our culture, it ties us to who we are. And that is one of the biggest things that was taken on us. And we need to grab it, hold on to it, and move it forward. You reach Jukes.
Wide Katie Gottfredson and Squext. I firstly want to thank Dina Jules, Elder Dina Jules, for her opening prayer, and the dancers for bringing us good medicine, and the drummers today. I thank all of you for being here today for the first National Truth and Reconciliation Day. I want everyone to take a thought in your mind today as we reflect on today. It is not just a day off. It's not a day away from work. And you being here shows us that you really are here for the right reasons, and I thank you for that. I hope that this day will be a day of reflection, a day of understanding for all of those children that we speak of, whether they're survivors or those that have passed on. We have to have understanding of our Indigenous people, and I ask that of you today. I thank all of you for being here, taking the time, and I thank all of those that have been there since the spring for our community and those across the country. The walkers, the runners, the young children that have made Bannock to be in solidarity for us. This is where we gather strength, and this is where our voices become stronger. I hold my hands up to all of you, and unfortunately I'm not as big of a speaker as the two ladies that went before me, but I do want to say that I am very grateful. My family, as a child of two survivors, I know that all of you being here, all of those watching today, that your presence, whatever it may be, truly does make a difference. Cook Stetchel to all of you. You got it.
I think it pays to be short, then you get a guy to help you with a speaker. My name is Marie Baptiste. I've been a counselor for TTS for almost 3 years now. It is a good day to be here today, and I will say that I am residential school survivor. It has been really hard since last May to be able to do a lot of the things that we can do to help the people, even to help ourselves, to be able to survive what happened years ago, to survive it again and again and again. It has been a difficult period for a lot of people, not only for the council that has to make a lot of decisions that affect a lot of the people, but for a lot of the people that have attended the ceremonies, all the ceremonies that took place at the school, all the people that came from all over Canada, all over BC, to pay respect and honor to the children that are here, that have been lost. And some of them think they have been forgotten, but they have not been forgotten. They are there in our memories. When my sister, Bernice, found out about the happenings in May, about the children, she was saying, finally, the people are starting to believe us when we said there were a lot of missing children then, and the stories are there. My sister Anna May, she just about had a heart attack. She's in her 80s. She went to school here, and I remember being in school here with both my sisters and my other brothers and sisters that are here. It was a difficult time. I say a lot of the things that happened here at the school, some of our members talked about it and some of our members didn't. And when my husband asked me if I wanted to go through the arbitration for the money that was available, I said no. Nothing can make me remember everything that happened here. It was too painful, it was too hard. And I hope never again will this ever happen to our people. Never again will our children be forgotten. I am really grateful for this day, and I'm really grateful for the council, because I just happened to mention to council one time, I says, the prophecy for the 8,000 drums, that comes true if we can make it happen. Our people will stand up and be the people who they're supposed to be. They will be the caretakers of Mother Earth again. They will take care of everything again. They supported the idea and they did a lot to make it come true. They were able to do more than I could do, because in the last couple of months I was in the hospital. I had a heart attack in July, and then about 2 weeks after that I had open heart surgery. And I had to deal with all of that, and I was wishing I was at council all the time, saying some things that would help support this day coming forward. But I'm glad that they had the initiative to be able to go ahead and do everything that needed to be done for this day. And I'm glad that this day is happening, because I remember a couple of years ago at a powwow I said, we need to pray for Mother Earth. We need to pray, and I asked for a special dance for the jingle dress dancers to dance in honor of Mother Earth and to pray for her healing. Now we're praying for her healing. We're praying for the children's healing. We're praying for the community's healing. We're praying for the healing of the parents who know their children were here and don't know what happened to them, and they'll finally find closure. I thank you all for being here, and I expect a really loud drum song when we have the event happening a little after 2. Thank you. Hey.
Waik Twaitip, Tkumipula Justin Gottfredson and Squext. I know today is a very difficult day for many of us. In our people, we've seen pain, anger, sadness, but I've also seen kindness, compassion, empathy, strength, and good humor. There are still good people in this world. And as we go down the path of awareness and education, we come to understanding. When we get a better understanding, we'll need those good people more than ever. I choose to cling to hope for our children, past, present, and future. We owe it to ourselves to be the best versions of ourselves. And I hope that we all strive for that same goal. I won't take up too much of your time. Take care, be safe. Kuksjam, Yurishchuks.
Good afternoon, everyone. Councillor Sonny Leonard. I just want to say good words for our Chief and Council and all our relatives. This has been trying times this last few years, and the support is overwhelming. It's coming from around the world, and it's bringing us together to help comfort everyone that's going through troubled times. And I just want to recognize all our elders and our descendants that have gone without the support that we're having today. I just want to thank everyone that's doing such a good purpose and helping everyone comfort and look after everyone and keep everyone close and healthy. Thank you.
Kuksjachem for those good for those good words and for really bringing in today the light of the seriousness of this national holiday that is proclaimed. So it's good to hear from all of you, and on behalf of today, we'd like to honor you with Chief and Council with this drum that were made by, I can't remember his name, but we acknowledged him earlier. But he made some pretty beautiful drums, and on behalf Norman Ratasca Jr. made these beautiful drums, orange, and honoring the 250 that were found here in Kamloops on behalf of us, to Chief Council. Up next, we have a few visiting leaderships. We can bring them over to the wing, please, to get ready to speak. We have Roseanne Archibald, National Chief AFN, Terry TG, the BC Regional Chief, Cookby Wayne Christian, SNTC Tribal Chief, Cookby Judy Wilson, Leadership Council in UBC, Mayor Ken Christian, City of Kamloops, Minister of Indigenous Relations and Reconciliation, Murray Rankin, and Minister of Farnsworth, Public Safety and Solicitor General of BC. If we could all thank Kamloops Chief and Council once again, please.
Kuksjam leadership of Kamloops to Secwepemc. Before we bring up the next group of speakers, we want to share a video. It's called We Won't Forget You by the Secwepemc School students. Part of their notes they wanted to share was, through the missing and finding the strength through the sadness. Always celebrate who we are. And we won't forget you were here once, sitting in the dark and now letting in the light. We'll never forget. So I want to get the video started now.
Future unknown, forced into prey. like gave an education, but it really wasn't. Now we look ahead, we can start the drumming. Learning language through song and dance, the pain they felt, let's honor that. By being great and keeping track of what elders teach, let's walk the path.
To Shuswap Nation, the future is in our hands. It may take some patience, it is our home, it is our land.
In a lifetime we'll celebrate who we are like every day. There's so much knowledge in the way we live our lives, so we're giving thanks.
We won't forget you. We won't forget you. You were sitting in the dark, now we're letting in the light. Oh, cow cook beat, oh, cow cook beat. Found love, now everything is fine. You were sitting in the dark, now we're letting in the light.
Now we feel free, dreaming and wishing. We walk on the land, hunting and fishing. Our language is taught through drumming and singing, but it's still so sad. Our people go missing. Is there an end to all of this madness? Finding the strength through all of this sadness.
Put troubles aside, emotions we balance by showing our voices. We got the talent. This is the start of a new life. We'll undo the wrongs and we'll choose right. Our home is here and it is so bright. We see the rivers, we'll never lose sight.
Bringing back the traditions, we sing the rap for the mission. The destination is living and innovation for the children.
In a lifetime we'll celebrate who we are like every day. There's so much knowledge in the way we live our lives, so we're giving thanks.
We won't forget you. We won't forget you. You were sitting in the dark, now we're letting in the light. Oh, cow cook beat, oh, cow cook beat. Found love, now everything is fine. You were sitting in the dark, now we're letting in the light. Our school's a place we go. We feel safe and we feel better again. A home away from home. We're happy here and to be together again. You've shown there's always hope when tough times get you down. Let us begin and walk the longest road. We are here with you, we'll never forget. No, no, no. No, no, no. We'll never forget, never forget, never forget. We won't forget you. We won't forget you. You were sitting in the dark, now we're letting in the light. Oh, cow cook beat, oh, cow cook beat. Found love, now everything is fine. You were sitting in the dark, now we're letting in the light. You were sitting in the dark, now we're letting in the light. You were sitting in the dark, now we're letting in the light.
That's such a beautiful and strong production. Thanking all our youth participating in Secwepemc School for that wonderful contribution. Just before we get into our special guests, our visiting leadership who will be speaking, just as we go along, we want to acknowledge things. And we have Johnny Bandura. You might have seen all those wonderful paintings, 215 representing. Just a beautiful display. So I just wanted to thank Johnny Bandura for sharing that with us. So our first guest speaker, I want to call up AFN National Chief, Roseanne Archibald.
Oache miswe. Okamakane shishik, geshehog, esquewak, oshkanigwak. Roseanne Archibald, Natishnakas, and Dagmostakata Kochian. Good afternoon, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, wherever you are watching. First, I'd like to acknowledge the Creator, the world around us, and our place within it. I also want to acknowledge Secwepemc, the Secwepemc traditional territory where we are gathered here today. I want to say miigwech to the Secwepemc, the Secwepemc Chief and Council, Cookpee Roseanne Casimir, all of the council members we heard speaking, and the community, the knowledge keepers, hereditary chiefs, matriarchs, dignitaries, and special guests and visiting leadership, including BC AFN Regional Chief Terry Teegee, Cookpee Wayne Christensen, Cookpee Judy Wilson, Mayor Ken Christian, Murray Rankin, Minister of Indigenous Relations and Reconciliation, and Solicitor General Mike Farnsworth. I have beside me here a gift that I was given by the Stolo Nation. It's a cedar hat with 2 eagle feathers on it and paddles, carved paddles. And this was given to me by Chief Ralph Leon and his community. And so I'm going to put it on in honor of them while I speak. Today is Orange Shirt Day. And it is also the very first National Day for Truth and Reconciliation. But most importantly today, I want to acknowledge the survivors like Rose Miller, who I met, because she was the first person I met when I drove in here. And she went to that institution up on top of the hill. And I want to acknowledge all of the survivors here, all of the intergenerational trauma survivors who are joining us online as well through the live broadcast. But my prayers are especially for those little ones who never made it home. I want to acknowledge the intergenerational trauma survivors. Anishinaabe scholar Dr. Pamela Toulouse once wrote, 100% of First Nations people suffer from intergenerational trauma, 100%. We are all survivors, and we're all doing our best to heal and walk forward with dignity. On this very first inaugural day of National Day of Truth and Reconciliation, it is a day to honor survivors and intergenerational trauma survivors and the victims of the institutions of assimilation and genocide. I don't call them schools anymore because I attended many schools in Ontario, non-native schools, and none of them had graveyards. This is a day to reflect on the atrocities that Canada has committed against First Nations people of the land. Truth must come before reconciliation. Truth is about learning, sharing, and growing as a country. The more we know about where we've come from, what our true shared history is, and our responsibilities to one another, the better we can address current challenges and find our healing path forward together. Here in Secwepemc territory, on these sacred lands, on May 28, 2021, the recovery of 215 little ones started a cascading effect across Canada. The remains were found using ground-penetrating radar technology following 20 years of advocacy, an effort that was funded by a Pathway to Healing grant. Since then, additional children have been found. This is a crime against humanity and a crime against our little children. The United Nations has called this genocide, and we call it genocide. What is equally important is that our little ones were loved. They were cared for by their families and communities when they were forcibly removed, often by the RCMP and Indian agents. Certainly, it started with government policy, with the collusion of religious institutions such as the Catholic Church. The recovery of our little children is not over, and there will be many reports to come. This agonizing exercise and grim reminder of this country's history will continue until we recover all of our family members and bring them home to rest in peace in proper ceremony. For many Canadians, non-Indigenous Canadians, and for people around the world, these recoveries of our children, buried nameless, unmarked, lost, and without ceremony, is shocking and unbelievable, but not for us. We have known from the very beginning that many of our children did not survive. The ones that did return told stories of horror and abuse. This has been happening since the inception of the residential school policies in the 1800s and continued for another century until 1996, when the last of those institutions closed their doors. I encourage all of you to please reach out for support today and every day that you need it. And on this inaugural National Day for Truth and Reconciliation, I'll share a part of my story. Both of my parents attended institutions of assimilation and genocide. They survived, but they never spoke about it. My older brothers, Robert, Ronald, and Charles, attended the same institution as my father. My brother Joseph, Henry, and my sisters Marguerite and Euphemie Alexander attended the same institution as my mom. Euphemie Alexandra died under mysterious circumstances while attending St. Anne's in Fort Albany. My mom kept it a secret because it was a pain that was nearly unbearable. I stumbled upon her grave when I was looking for my other sister's grave, who died in infancy. And that's how I met my sister Euphemie. I was staring at her headstone in a cemetery, perplexed about why her headstone listed in French, in a French version, my mom's name as her mom. Daughter of Veronique, it said. I approached my mom when I got home, and I said, I was looking for Colleen's grave, and I stumbled upon this grave that said Euphemie on it, daughter of Veronique. And my mom burst into tears. She couldn't stop. She was almost wailing. And when she did, and when I didn't know how to comfort her, I didn't even know what I had said, because she never talked about it. That's how painful these stories are. So I was the first in my family not to attend. 8 members of my immediate family were forced to attend. 7 survived. And out of my siblings, we have lost my older sister Marguerite and my older brother Ron. I am an intergenerational trauma survivor, doing my best to be a thriver. This is not ancient history. This has been a very difficult time for us as nations, for Canada, as we are once again reminded about Canada's assimilation policies to extinguish us as a people. Again, make no mistake, Canada, along with the Church, committed genocide against First Nations and Indigenous children. I stand in support of all survivors, loved ones, family members, and First Nation leaders who have undertaken the painful work of recovering these innocent children. Many Canadians, again, have expressed shock and anger about the recoveries at Tk'emlúps, Cowessess, Sioux Valley, Sunata, Pennacolet, and elsewhere. There have been announcements of funding and support from both the federal government and now the Catholic Church. This is a long overdue step in acknowledging the devastating harm that these institutions brought forth for many generations and how that legacy of harm continues today. For example, we have more children in the child welfare system than at the height of these institutions of assimilation and genocide. Now is the time for accountability and action. One of my favorite sayings is, the best apology is changed behavior. We need this now. While I welcome the Church and government's commitment to funding Indigenous-led, survivor-centric, and culturally safe efforts, it is First Nations survivors who must take the lead on all efforts to pursue justice and healing with a trauma-informed approach. The Assembly of First Nations is looking for further assurances that these funds, each and every dollar, will go directly to the healing projects and initiatives for the survivors and the intergenerational trauma survivors. As National Chief, I will be reaching out to the Bishops of Canada to ensure that First Nations are a part of what they call the development of national principles, strategy, timelines, and public communication that was stated in their announcement. Like I said before, we must move beyond hollow apologies and walk the healing path together. Now I ask our allies, our non-Indigenous Canadians, to listen to First Nations and Indigenous leadership, not only today, because it is the day of truth and reconciliation, but every day. We all love our children, and this has created deep empathy and understanding. Where we were once silenced and beaten for being First Nations and Indigenous on these lands, we are now being honored, and our ancestors are being remembered. We must build a future that is filled with love and caring for our current young ones and the ones yet to come. Every child deserves a loving, caring home where they are nurtured by their community and family and encouraged to dream and to thrive. Respect our voices, I say to our allies. Respect our knowledge keepers, and grieve with us as we continue to fight for the little ones. We have been doing this for so long by ourselves. Stand shoulder to shoulder with us until every little soul is returned home. I join the institution survivors and their families in demanding justice for these innocent children whose lives were stolen. I call on our allies to call your MPs and your MPPs, your MLAs, and urge governments to work together with First Nations to support all recovery efforts to ensure we find our stolen children and our people have every opportunity for justice and healing. The Government of Canada must support any First Nation that wants to pursue these archaeological investigations and do so with the consent of the First Nations with proper ceremony and protocols in place. On this first National Day for Truth and Reconciliation, I echo what Councillor and Elder Marie Baptiste said, that today is about remembering, honoring, and to make sure that this never happens again to our children. We have a common vision of happy, healthy children surrounded by the love and care of their families in safe and vibrant communities. Let's make that reality happen together, today and every day, every child matters. Ninanaskamun gasakitin. Ninanaskamun in my language means I am grateful, I am thankful, I thank you, and gasakitin means I love you.
Before I call on Terry Tiji, who's the BC Regional Chief, we have a lot of support staff, and I want to let everybody know that there are refreshments, there are water. If there are elders who need to be served, we have support staff from CIFN and Tecumseh Secwepemc. You know, just have a look around if anybody needs anything, because we're just going to keep going right through, and Stephen Teed is going to make sure that the refreshments, coffee, and snacks keep coming. So I just wanted to say that as it is 12:30. So Terry, Coach Jim.
Wasecho. Deneza, Sekuza, Skyza, Chiefs, Hereditary Chiefs, Cookbees, Members of Parliament, Ministers. First of all, I want to acknowledge the territory Tecumseh Secwepemc, Chief Roseanne Casimir, and Council, but most of all, residential school survivors and intergenerational survivors. I want to acknowledge you on this inaugural day that we call Truth and Reconciliation Day. And reminded today, as the rains come down, like the tears of all those faces of the well over 150,000 Inuit, Métis, and First Nations children that were taken from their communities to go to these institutions. And I remember hearing those stories of buses, cattle cars, previous generations, carts that came to the communities and rounded up the children and brought them to these so-called schools that were described by children as institutions, concentration camps, jails. And as we well know, then some of them didn't make it home. And that's why we're here today, and that's why we are reminded, I would say very similar to Remembrance Day, of the many children that never made it home. And those that are here today, the intergenerational survivors of residential school, and the unraveling of literally over 150 years of colonization and over 100 years of genocidal policies that were imposed on Indigenous children. There's a lot of culpability to share. State, church, and police that took our children to these institutions. And I just want to acknowledge today too the good work of all the commissioners for the Truth and Reconciliation Commission, that this is one of the 94 recommendations that has been implemented to commemorate all the children that went to residential school. Although this is a very somber day that we reflect upon a very dark history and atrocities that were imposed on Indigenous peoples, for myself, I kind of look to the future of hope. And we've seen continued policies imposed on our children. 60s scoop. And as what National Chief said, the many children in the care of MCFD and the foster care system, well over 150,000. And yesterday, a good decision that backed up what Cindy Blackstock said. And the court case between the Child Caring Family Society and the AFN that was dismissed, the Government of Canada to pay up, that your judicial review is dismissed. Quit fighting our kids in court. And a good decision was yesterday that the court dismissed it and agreed with the 20 Canadian Human Rights Tribunal decisions to provide the resources for our children that are in care. So here, as the regional chief, I just want to be reminded of all those residential schools in British Columbia and all the survivors and perhaps those that didn't make it home, similar to the 215 graves that were found here at Kamloops Indian Residential School. Alberni Indian Residential School, Ahusit Indian Residential School, Anaheim Lake Dormitory Residential School in Ilgacho, Christie Residential School in Clayoquot Territory, Kamloops Indian Residential School, Kitimat Indian Residential School, Kootenay St. Eugene Residential School, Cooper Island Residential School, Lejac Residential School, Lower Post Indian Residential School, Coquilitsa in Chilliwack Residential School, Metlakatla, Port Simpson, Presbyterian Indian Residential School in Coquilitsa, Seashelt, St. Paul's Indian Residential Schools, St. George's Indian Residential Schools in Lytton, St. Mary's Mission Residential School, St. Michael's in Alert Bay Indian Residential Schools, Williams Lake Indian Residential School, Yale Indian Residential School, and Yuquot Indian Residential Schools. These were the residential schools that were in British Columbia, and the thousands that attended in BC from many territories. This day we remember them, but in the future, it's our responsibility to make things better. We appreciate the allies and all those that came forward to lend their support to our people, to the Indian residential school survivors. We appreciate the flags being lowered to half-mast. We appreciate this day. But these are mere gestures. Tomorrow and in the future, we need action. We need a plan by this federal and provincial government to implement all 94 recommendations to the TRC. Not only provide the resources, but provide a timeline. This should have happened a long time ago. We need a plan to implement the National Action Plan on Missing and Murdered Indigenous Women and Girls. We need all governments to live up to the United Nations Declaration for the Rights of Indigenous Peoples. That's what we need. We need action. We appreciate the gestures. We appreciate the reports. We're done with it. We know what the problem is. We need action for a better tomorrow, not just for First Nations, Inuit, and Métis, but for this place we call Canada. To make this place a better place and what it can be. That's what we're asking for as Indigenous peoples. Thank you. Masicho. Snatelia. Thank you.
I went over to school and the elders came up and scolded me for it.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Some real good speakers. I had to hand out water. They're probably parched. Up next, we have our Cookbee Ken Christian. Our Cookbee Wayne Christian from the SNTC, our tribal chairman. Please help me welcome to the stage.
Hello, everyone. Kalmuk Squest, Wanoktina, Jal Cookbee, Spelachina, Secwepemc. My Indian name is Big Voice that Speaks the Truth. I'm the chief of the people of Splatsin of the Secwepemc Nation. My English name is Wayne Christian, not Christensen. So, I don't know why it's called Christian either, considering what we're talking about today. But anyways, that's a whole different thing. Every child matters. Every child matters. Every child matters. Every child matters. You need to think about it like this. All the way to my left, all the way to my right, you were all children. Each and every one of you. The 215 that have revealed themselves were children. My mother was a child when she went to this place. She was a little girl. She warriored up like many of you did, and she survived so I could be here today. All of you that have survived and you warriored up, stand up and thank yourself. We thank you for what you endured, the pain and suffering and all those things. You warriored up so we could be here today. So what does this all mean? Why did this happen here in Secwepemc Ulu at the Kamloops to Secwepemc? You know why? Because the Secwepemc people are a strong, warrior-like, fierce people that'll fight for everything that is needed. We woke up the world as Secwepemc people. The Cookbee and Komipala, the survivors here, the strength that you have to carry the rest of us. We want to say thank you. Thank you. Kukshem, Kushketsem. For all the survivors out there, today, take time to look after yourself. Take time to reflect and remember those that you know that passed on and died here, your own relatives. Take time to feel the anguish, the pain, and the anger. That anger you need to turn into action. Take it. It's an emotion. It's just an emotion. Let it go. To the Secwepemc people and all the survivors around Turtle Island, we're going to be okay. We're going to be okay. All of our teachings that were taught to us over the generations are here now for us to pick up. Because the children that have shown themselves are opening that doorway to healing. Those children are connecting us to the children that you see here today, but more importantly, to those children yet to come, those yet unborn. It connects every child matters, past, present, future. It's really, really important you understand this is what's happening. We as a Secwepemc people need to understand we are here and doing this work because it's critical for the world. So survivors, I'll call you veterans of this war against our children. Look after yourself. All the helpers that are in the crowd here, thank you for what you're doing. Thank you for the work that you're doing. For those of you that have not yet told your story, we need to hear your story. We need to hear your truth. Canada needs to hear the atrocities they committed in these institutions from coast to coast to coast. To the Prime Minister of this country, Pierre Elliott Trudeau's son, Justin. I told his father that he lied to the world during the Constitution right here in Kamloops. I told Pierre that he lied to the world. We were doing the Constitution work. He blew up because he knew it was true. And so now we have his son, the Prime Minister. He's lied to the world about us. I tell him it's time that he got over it. Get over it, Prime Minister. Canada has committed genocide against our people. Get over it. To Canadians, help us understand that we need to change where this country is going to go. Canada needs to grow up, mature to a country where we are seen as equals, but also seen as owners and protectors of the land, water, more importantly, the jurisdiction for our children. So each and every one of you here, thank yourself. Every child matters. Today, tomorrow, and from the past. So Kukshem, look after yourself. And this here, it was given to me. What it is a deer rattle to represent the children. So when I speak, they're here with us. So Kukshem, you're it.
Well, some good words. Cookby. Up next, we have Cookby Judy Wilson from the Leadership Council and UBCIC, also Cookby of Nisconlith. Please help me welcome her to stage.
Waikikuatep. It's good to be honoring our children today. First of all, I want to thank the Kamloops Chief and Council for all the tremendous courage and work that they've done in the revealing of those children, the 215 that never made it home, mass burial graves, and the unmarked graves. And I also want to acknowledge my father, Grand Chief Joe Manuel. He's sitting to my left over here. He attended the school here with many of his relatives from Kamloops. My grandfather's from here. And I just wanted to say, if all the survivors could stand, if you can, the survivors that are in the arbor today, can you please stand so we can acknowledge you? The survivors that attended any residential school, please stand. And next, I want anyone to stand that your family went to the residential school. So keep standing and stand, all the ones that there, anyone in your family that went to residential school. And this shows you what Regional Chief was talking about and Chief Cookby Wayne Christian. It affects every single one of us. In our intergenerational trauma, because it was forced removal of from our lands, first of all, to reserves. It was forced removal of our children. that broke our families up and broke our governance systems up, and it was forced removal in the 60s scoop, and it continues to be forced removal from our communities and from our families. And if people watching today across Canada and the United States are saying they don't understand what it's about, imagine your child at 3 years old or 5 years old being removed forcibly and taken away from you. And you don't get to see that child till the child is 16. That's the genocide we're talking about. That's what broke down our families, that individual child. That's what broke down our communities. That's what broke down our nations. Talk about eradication through policy and what National Chief said, collusion. Collusion of the state government, of the churches, and of the settlers. And if you want to get over it, then be part of it. Be part of the reconciliation and the healing that's needed in Canada and in the United States for all of our children that yet need to come home. Set up a proper legal framework across Canada that can deal with this. Set up the proper people that need to be in place in the legal framework to be part of it, because we need to be part of it. We have lawyers and doctors and all kinds of things. You can sit down now. I just wanted to make sure in my heart I honored you and recognized you, because this day is about you. And from our Grand Chief, Stuart Phillip, and our Chief Don Tom at the Union of BC Indian Chiefs, we acknowledge all the heartfelt pain and all the thrivers that are continuing from the survivors of this school and many, many schools in Canada and the United States. There's lots of work and a lot of healing. But I remind everyone, we've got the people in place. We've got the people that are there. But you need to make way for us to do that. And I hope Premier Horgan comes here and visits to Kamloops and all the residential schools. And we yet to hear from Prime Minister Trudeau himself to make it here. How many of you think he should come here? Because Trudeau's got to know he isn't going to kneel down and say some prayers at an unmarked grave. He's got to come here because it's accountability of the federal government. I don't care whether he has a minority government, he still has accountability as Prime Minister in this Canada, in this country, to respect, you know, what the Kamloops has worked, the Chief and Council here, Chief Cookby Roseanne Casimir and her council, what they've done. And he needs to honor it. You know, they've had all kinds of leaders come here, and I'm so glad National Chief and Regional Chief and our Tribal Chief here, Wayne, and Minister Rankin and Minister Farnsworth and the rest of the ministers are here. But it's going to take accountability of our federal and provincial government to deal with this. Because, you know, all the resources are taken off our territorial lands. They were given to the federal and provincial government, and they only come back in forms to us as programs and services. And we manage the poverty as chiefs. We try to make sure all those programs and services, and some of them are essential, especially during COVID, get out to our people. But the reality is there just isn't enough, because we're not there in our own territories making our own money and having the wealth of our own resources and territories and lands to go back to our people, the rightful, proper title and rights holders. That's where the resources need to go back to, so that we can build our economies, that we can build our families back up and our communities and our nations. Because that's what's going to need it. That's part of the healing. That's part of what has to happen. And we can't have just the federal and provincial government thinking they're the only government and the jurisdiction and the law in this country. It's our First Nations, our Indigenous laws, legal orders, and jurisdiction in this country. We hold the underlying title to the entirety of Canada, the entirety of British Columbia. We are the rightful holders. And Canada and the province have to get used to that, because we have the United Nations Declarations on the Rights of Indigenous People that are minimum human rights, but first and foremost, we have our Indigenous laws in jurisdictions and legal orders. That's where we're coming from with this issue. So they need to deal with us. They need to, like Cookbee Christian said, get over it and deal with us in a respectful, proper way as a nation, as nations of people. Canada is still relying on the doctrine of discovery, which is fiction. They never annihilated us. They never conquered us. We never surrendered to them. We're still here. And those children, the 215, are reminding us of that. And my heart, again, as I mentioned, and I wanted to acknowledge Melissa Moses here to my right, the women's rep for the Union of BC Indian Chiefs, and Amelia Washington, our elder for the Union of BC Indian Chiefs. They're both courageous women that are out there all the time doing a lot of the groundwork in the communities and on the different events. And, you know, a lot of the work that's needed. They meet with all the grassroots people, the people that, you know, take all the ceremonies and the front line work. So I wanted to acknowledge Melissa for being here. She's a very courageous young woman and all the work that she's doing. But my heart goes out to everyone. There's a lot more I wanted to say, but I just wanted to say today is for, you know, those children that didn't make it home, and for the thrivers, the survivors, however you want to be acknowledged. This is your day. And going forward, if we come to next year's Truth and Reconciliation Day, there needs to be accountability what Trudeau changed and what Premier Horgan changed. We have to yet measure them on what those actions will be. And I agree with Regional Chief TG, it's action now, not flowery words or speeches. We're done with that. We need to see the systemic changes happen for the future of all our children here today, and the ones that didn't make it home, and the ones that are coming yet, the ones that are still going to come and lead the future. Cook's Jam, and thank you to everyone. Thank you.
All right, Cooks Chesham, Cookbee Judy Wilson. Up next, we have Mayor Ken Christian from the City of Kamloops, cousin to Wayne Christian. You guys could help welcome him to the stage.
Wait. My name is Ken Christian. I'm the mayor of the City of Kamloops, and I am honored to be invited here today. It's always such a friendly welcome when I come to the Arbor. Often it's more friendly here than it is some of the crowds I speak to on the other side of the river. But it's my honor on behalf of the 100,000 residents that live on the other side of the river to be here today to acknowledge the first day of Truth and Reconciliation here at the Arbor, which I believe is kind of ground zero for this event and for this national holiday in Canada. And I hope for a time when we would be able to celebrate National Truth and Reconciliation Day, but we're not there yet. We have many, many miles to go, and as the National Chief said, governments at all levels have to work together. So I'm proud of the work that myself and our council are doing with Cookbee Roseanne and the Council of the Tecumloops to Secwepemc, because we work hard. Today I'm happy that we are flying the Tecumloops flag at City Hall in Kamloops. Next week we will be putting banners up in the streets of Kamloops that have been designed by Tecumloops to Secwepemc and the City of Kamloops to recognize the cultural history in this valley. And I hope Cookbee Roseanne and I will be able to sign a protocol agreement in October to recognize cultural and heritage values in this valley together. I'm looking forward to that, Cookbee. So we work together all of the time. But as Cookbee Wayne, who is not my cousin, said, you know, we have to get over it. I don't know, Cookbee, if we can get over it, but we have to get past it. And we as a council, working with your council, are determined that we are going to get past it. And as the national chief also said, you have the right when you send your children to school to expect that they will be coming home, to expect that they won't die. And so the road to reconciliation, I believe, starts right here with Secwepemc School of Excellence and the great video that we saw today of the children, because that's the kind of learning that needs to happen right here and right here in this valley for children at that school and the cultural impact that they have on the entire valley. So I thank you for the honor to be here today. I thank you for being able to speak and address you, and let's remember and reflect the 215 missing children. Thank you very much.
Secwepemc Mayor Ken Christian from the City of Kamloops. Up next, I would like to welcome the Minister of Indigenous Relations and Reconciliation, Murray Rankin.
Elders, Cookpee chiefs, Regional Chief PG, National Chief Archibald, honored guests, dignitaries. I want to say thank you, first of all, to the Tk'emlúps te Secwepemc Nation for inviting me to be here to bear witness to what is an historic day. And it's through your leadership, I truly believe, that we have the first National Day for Truth and Reconciliation. Because what this nation has endured, how it has stepped up to address the findings of the 215 plus children who never came home, with the whole world watching, has been nothing short of inspirational, not just to the province, the country, but to the world. And that needs to be acknowledged. That leadership needs to be acknowledged. So I raise my hands to the Chief and Council here, but I raise my hands in particular to the survivors and to the intergenerational survivors who are here and who have been acknowledged. We endure and you endure thanks to your strength. Despite all of the obstacles, despite all of the suffering that you have endured, you are rising up stronger than ever. And when my colleagues talk about words and accountability, I understand. I understand the need for action. We're well past the need for words. But we do have to understand that if there is to be reconciliation, there first has to be truth. And we as Canadians need to understand what happened, because so many of us didn't hear you when you told us. You told us over and over again what happened in these horrible institutions, but we did not listen. We weren't ready to learn. I believe, again, because of this horrific discovery that we have heard, that was no discovery to you, but was a discovery to the non-Indigenous people of our country, that we can make change together. So this morning I had a conversation with somebody that used to live in Kamloops. Some of you may remember Phyllis Jack Webster, who was a survivor of the Williams Lake School. And she is the person at a young age, at about this time of year, who was taken away from her community, shoved in the back of a car, and taken to the residential school. And what was she wearing? She was famously wearing her favorite orange shirt. And when she came to us, I was a member of Parliament at the time, along with my friend Eddie Charlie, who was a survivor of the Penelakut Residential School. We went and I introduced the Orange Shirt Day to commemorate September 30th. And that bill never passed. But what did happen was Canada woke up and we created at a national level the National Truth and Reconciliation Day, which is what we are here today for the first time in our history to commemorate. And so I called her, we spoke and she said to say hello to her friends in Kamloops. I didn't know she went to grade 12 here. Some of you know. She's a strong, strong woman. She is a fighter. She has the spirit that Cookby Christian was talking about. She has that spirit of determination that will take us to a better place. All of us in Canada, Indigenous and non-Indigenous, coast to coast. So I salute her and I raise my hands to her for the spark that was her story. And I say story because all of you need to keep telling your stories, because the more you tell your stories, the more we're going to learn and the more that our institutions are going to respond. Because I truly believe, as Cookby Casimir said earlier today, that Canada may finally be ready to hear. Yeah, earlier today I went up to the monument in front of the residential school and I saw two little, look like hockey pucks in orange. And they had two words, several words, but the two that I remember were love and hope. And as Councillor Justin said to us earlier today, there are good people. There are people of goodwill. There are people who are ready to learn and to listen finally. So I urge you, as those children put on those stones, to think about those two words and how powerful they are. Love and hope. Thank you for the invitation to be with you.
Next, I want to call up Mike Farnsworth, Solicitor General of BC and Minister for Public and Safety.
Thank you, and I want to thank the Cookies and the Grand National Chief and the Regional Chief and the survivors for the invitation to be able to speak to you here today on this first National Day of Truth and Reconciliation. It's an opportunity for all of us to not only recognize what has taken place here, which is truly remarkable and has gathered the attention of people around the world, but most importantly, for non-Indigenous Canadians to understand what truth really means and what happened on that institution up the hill, and how 215 unmarked graves grabbed the attention in this country like we've never seen before. You knew what those 215 graves were. Non-Indigenous, by and large, did not. They were kids, children. They were sons, they were daughters. They were brothers, they were sisters. They were grandkids. They were links to families. They were families. They were part of communities. They were part of a nation. They were part of a culture that stretched back thousands of years. And that institution was there to break that link, to assimilate, to eliminate. But what all of us need to know is, with the survivors being here today, that those links weren't not broken. Those children here today show that that nation, those nations, not just here but across the country, are here, and they are as strong as they will ever be. That is the truth that needs to be learnt. And along with that truth, as we face the truth and that history, that terrible history, comes the opportunity for reconciliation. And reconciliation is a long path, but it is a journey that we are and committed and must take it together. We will take it with you, but it is going to happen. And that's why I'm so proud to be here with my colleagues and with all of you as we celebrate what I think is truly a remarkable day in this nation, one that we must not forget. And when you look around and you see the kids, and you see them laughing, and you see them screaming, and you see them crying, and you see the parents, and you see the elders, and you see the survivors, you see the future. And the future will be strong. and it will be a good one as long as we remain committed to understanding what the truth really is and that reconciliation is the only path forward. Kakshtik. Thank you.
I just want to say Cook's Gem to all our special guests, dignitaries. Thank you so much for your strong words, for being here. We can all appreciate and take to heart the wonderful messages you've provided. I just want to say one thing before you leave. Don't be alarmed if the drums get a little soft right now. They're just made so they'll start sucking in moisture. But once you get them dry and heated, they'll come right back. And then you can play them and...
Excellent. Thanks, George. Appreciate it. Thank you.
You bet.
Thanks,
Good job.
George. Great.
Good job.
You're kicking us off?
So while we're making the transition, Grand Chief Roseanne Archibald wants to make a quick presentation.
Cook P. Christensen. Hey. Cook P. Christian. We need him to come back onto the stage. So I wanted to present something. This is my second visit to Kamloops, and so I have a special gift for Cook P. Roseanne Casimir, as well as the other leaders that are here today. So if you could come on up, Cook P. Roseanne, Cook P. Wayne, Cook P. Judy, Regional Chief TG. If somebody could send him back up.
This is for you. Oh, thank you.
So what I've learned about West Coast culture is that when one of the greatest gifts you can give is a blanket. And so I gifted Cook P. Roseanne with a blanket, but I do have medicine here for all the elected leaders that were on the stage with me today. So I'm going to hand them out, and I'm going to give tobacco to the ministers and the mayor. So I'll start with Regional Chief TG. So what I'm handing out is sage, sweetgrass, tobacco, and cedar, the 4 medicines. And then tobacco for the ministers. Miigwech, everyone.
Jam, thank you, National Chief. So right now we're just going to go in front of the eagle shot. Okay. Yes. Do you need my hands or something? I like saying
I'll
that.
get my staff to come up.
Okay.
Thank you, everybody. So I want to do some recognition and acknowledgements. Recognize Lydia Huitsum, BC Appointment First Nation with Lala Esque. Miss Canada is here, Lorelei Higgins. MP-elect Frank Caputo. Deputy Minister Daniel Kwan Watson. Bennett, Carolyn Bennett, Minister of Crown Indigenous Relations. Okay.
The minister was here on their behalf.
Who?
The Kwan was here on their behalf.
Okay. Daniel Kwan Watson was here on her behalf. So before we go into break, we're going to show a video that took place. 70 hand drums. There is no audio, but please look to what it's about, what it means. It will be on air tonight on CBC at 5 p.m. Pacific. So without further ado,
Awesome things to do and see here today, so please stick around, but take 15 minutes and shake someone's hand or look them in the eyes if you're social distancing and give them a nod. Quick stretch out. Also, coffee and snacks will be at the entrance on the north side of the arbor. Cooks Chetchum for that. We will be doing another drum here at 2:15, so please don't go too far. Thank you for that song. That was awesome to hear. We do have a very awesome video presentation called White to Whitep by Talise Seymour. If we could get that going, please.
White to Whitep, Remnants Quest, Talise Seymour. Hello everyone, my name is Talise Seymour. I am a young Indigenous Secwepemc woman. As a child, I hated the color of my skin. I grew up thinking that because my skin color was brown, there was something wrong with me. I grew up having to deal with the discrimination, the bullying, the racism on a daily basis, and still do. Residential schools took my people's identity, our culture, our language, our beliefs, our traditions, and most importantly, our way of living. These schools were not in any way to benefit the children. This was a deliberate genocide of the Native people. Just over 20 years ago, the last Indian residential school was closed. More than 150,000 children were stolen, and over 50,000 died or simply disappeared. In the present day, Natives from all across Canada are still affected from this genocide. We all need to start shedding light and understanding the awful truth behind residential schools. Colonizers went around to communities and villages, stealing only children aged 5 to 16 years old. Once taken to these strange forbidden buildings, they were immediately stripped from their culture, told from unfamiliar white faces to scrub their brown skin off because God doesn't like brown skin. Indian residential school survivors have stated, as soon as we entered the residential school, the abuse started right away. Children were used as guinea pigs for new medications, intentionally infected with TB, tuberculosis, just to see how long it would take for them to die. Electroshocks, also known as electric chairs, were used on those innocent souls. Not only did they use them as human experiments, children were abused on a daily occurrence. Females would be sterilized so men could either rape or take advantage of them without facing the consequences of getting them pregnant. The act of teaching the natives the white way took action in all the wrong ways. Nuns and priests physically, emotionally, mentally, verbally, and sexually abused the children of all ages. Both male and female experienced all this endless, horrible abuse day after day. The Indian residential schools taught the youth that there was no room for love or family, only rigid structure. Children who were caught crying would be punished by being beat or locked in a small cage with little food and water for days on end. These children eventually grew up and became parents who never knew how to parent, only what the Indian residential school system taught them. Having an upbringing like this in life would be near impossible to recover from. Mass graves from children who died in the residential schools are still being found today. Can you imagine being an Aboriginal parent and knowing your child was stolen to endure such a horrible experience? In taking all this information, you get a brief understanding of why certain Indigenous residential school survivors had self-medicated with drugs and alcohol to numb the pain of loss of their innocence as well as their children. By destroying the culture, they destroyed the strengths of entire nations. With destroyed nations, the government of Canada had an easy time stealing endless resources, like our land and resources from the land, and continued to keep First Nations people oppressed. The ongoing cycle of the Ministry of Child and Family Development, a funded government agency, is still placing Aboriginal children in the foster care system, with non-Native families on an ongoing loop of child oppression. The continued dismantling of language, culture, and traditional ways, leaving Aboriginal parents helpless when it comes to building a foundation for their families to grow upon. I am the 9th generation of impacted children. And I think many people consistently feel that they are being blamed for these schools. But we people, my people for the most part, are not here to point fingers. We are in need of being future people and not people of the past, as most do recognize us. I never thought that one day I would be able to say I am comfortable in my own skin, but I stand here today honored to be a young Secwepemc woman, cherishing my brown skin because I now know what my ancestors had to endure to preserve what we have left of our language, culture, and traditional ways. I think it is important for people to recognize this did not take place that long ago. 2 generations ago, my grandparents on both my father and mother's side were stolen and forced to attend residential schools. My mother's generation was the aftermath, and they had to grow up with traumatized, post-traumatic stress parents who did their best to raise their families. Or, sadly, had to watch their parents either self-medicate with drugs and alcohol or repeat dysfunctional patterns learned from residential schools. But more importantly, they got to witness their parents' courage to heal through culture and ceremony, and to have the strength and resilience to share their experiences about the truth of what happened to them at residential schools. This is why Orange Shirt Day holds such a profound value to myself and Indigenous people. Today, if I can leave my mark and spread awareness, then I feel that I too can speak on behalf of the children who were never able to use their voices. You have only heard what I have to say. However, there is so much truth to the Canadian history and what took place in the Indian residential schools. If you can open yourself up to learning more of what took place for our ancestors, then you can be a part of the solution in creating change, and having a better understanding of how this system was designed to kill the Indian in the child. The blue heart represents my generation and generations to come, bridges the gap between residential school survivors and youth that are still affected today. Lastly, I can never say enough about residential schools, and this is just the beginning of society becoming aware of the truth.
Video by Talise Seymour. Very beautiful. So at this point in the agenda, we want to recognize some special people who do some very special things in recognizing truth and reconciliation. What they do defines action. The effort, the strength, the perseverance to do what they do defines action. I want to call up Liam Haim. He started his journey in Brandon September 7th. And before he says a few words, I want to ask if there's anybody else in the crowd. Have you done an amazing journey on a run? Have you done an amazing journey on a walk? Have you shown your leadership to our people? If you're in the Arbor, please come up to the stage. We would love to recognize you and honor you. So Liam is going to talk about his journey and what this means, and it's an honor to meet you, Liam.
Thank you. Tonche, hello, Tonsi, and bonjour. My name is Liam Haim, and I'm traveling to you from the homeland of the Métis Nation in Treaty 1 territory. On September 7th, I embarked on a ride for reconciliation across stolen lands. This ride was dedicated to honor the children that never made it home and to continue to fight and advocate and bring awareness to the injustices and inequities that Indigenous people face in regards to their education, health, and land. To date, I have visited 5 sites, starting in Brandon, then Cowessess, Muskowagwin, Regina, and now to Kamloops. There's one thing I've learned along my ride that brings all the people of Turtle Island together is their love and care for the land and their love and care for their community. To the youth here today and listening across our nation, I want to let you know that you are smart, you are beautiful, you are strong, you're resilient, and most importantly, you matter. It is you who has to carry forward our traditions and our knowledge. I ask you to reach out to elders and knowledge keepers to learn your language and advocate for a better future. For the intergenerational warriors who are here today, I thank you for giving me strength as I embark on my mission each day. You are truly a resemblance of what it means to be a strong Indigenous person. And to the intergenerational warriors and the youth here today, you are living proof that no matter how hard the Canadian government has tried, they will never kill the Indian and the child.
Liam, we're going to honor you with a drum. Also, don't leave yet. Liam has a goal of $100,000, and 100% will go back to Indigenous organizations to help in the healing process. And to help him on his way, Community Futures Central and Tier First Nation, we're also giving a check for $500 to assist him along the way. Cook's Jim. So next we have Councillor Felix, Edna Felix from Splatine.
I'm kind of short here. White Coquira, Brasquas, Maple Edna Felix, Aqua Splatine, Mutgat Splatine, the Squat Mutluch. On October the 6th to the 10th, I have a team. September 6th to the 10th. A team from Splatine contacted Cookbeat Roseanne Casimir and let her know that we were coming with some walkers. The children's spirits are all here. We came home and took our children's spirits home. So the physical body is still here. The ones that were deceased and the ones who were still alive because of the trauma and tribulations that they went through in this residential school where they were told to keep quiet. Their spirits got stuck here. So we decided we're going to come and we're going to take them home. I have my daughter, and I told my daughter I'd have to start because my young cousin from Secwepemc came and she walked by herself. She had her grandma and her boyfriend with her. I told my daughter, anybody can do this, so let's do it for Splatcheen. I took it to Chief and Council of Splatcheen, and they said, do it. Just do it, don't talk about it. Just do it, so we did. If you can see way on the top over there is my team. If you can get you to stand, is Leslie William, Teresa William, Phyllis Jajowski, Shar William, and JJ Knors, and my daughter here beside me, Lorraine Felix. And the one missing is band counselor George William. We were the original 7 that started, and we were fortunate that Ministry of Transportation and the RCMP supported with safety on the highway to make sure that we made it back. It's a big thing with these kids, the color of orange. When those fires were going, I told my people, the children are very angry. Everybody's walking around with the color orange, so they're going to turn the world in the color orange. And when I looked at the fires, it was all around Secwepemc. Every Secwepemc was hit. Splatcheen was sitting in the bowl. We were right in the middle of the fire, but it didn't come into our community. The power of prayer, I will tell you, you say a prayer from your heart. Don't just think of one, but think with your heart. Creator hears it. It doesn't have to be a long prayer. It doesn't have to be a short prayer, as long as it's from your heart and you mean it. So I just wanted to share that story, Splatcheen, bringing our children home. And I really thank our community for all the support and that they stood behind us. When we got home, there was over 30 people. It was a very heavy load. You're carrying the hurt and the sadness of those kids. So on the last day when we were walking to the cemetery, and I saw those 30 people, it's like they took the load off of me. It was a shared. They were helping us do this. So I cook jam to the bottom of my heart for the Splatcheen community and the walkers who supported us right off the start. You want to say anything? I'll let my daughter say a few words. Thank you.
White Hohoida, Resquas Lorraine Felix from Splatcheen. I'm just going to keep my speech short. I'm carrying around my black bear. I'm going to become a bear dancer next Saturday. And it's for times like these where I will be wearing my bear to help my people. It don't matter where you're from on Turtle Island. You're considered my brother and sister. So anytime that you need me for medicine for healing, please don't be afraid to call me. I will come and dance, but I must be honored first and be given honor to wear my bear and my wolf. So I'm going to sing a song. This song came to me just shortly after we did this walk. And as I was walking, I was praying for the children all over Turtle Island. It was heartbreaking to hear the numbers going up of how many children were being found in different territories. And there's still more to come that ain't found yet. But this song came to me. So if I can just have your attention just for a little amount of time while I sing this. We are here for the children. Too bad I'm really cold, or else I'd show you my sweater. But I do have my sweater on in respect for these 215 children, in respect for the 6,000 children that have been found so far. Cook's Jam.
We want to thank Edna Felix for sharing that from Splatsine, and say Cook's Jam for everything that you do, and your daughter, just Cook's Jam. You know, I know as we all stand in solidarity, sometimes we need help. So if your neighbors need help, the person you're sitting beside needs help. Also want to remind everybody that we do have First Nation Health Authority with many resource people. We have cultural people that can help. So if you need, reach out to them, and we'll continue supporting each other. But the next person we want to bring up, who has done some substantial contributions, Kelsey Jules.
Thank you, George. Waik to Whaitak, Kelsey Jules from Squext, to come up to Slackland. Hello, everyone. My name is Kelsey Jules. I am a local Secwepemc artist, and I want to thank Overtime Apparel, Steve, and his wife who made this happen. I created this orange shirt that I'm wearing, and without his help, I wouldn't have been able to raise over $10,000 for the Indian Residential School Survivors Society. So huge thank you to Steve and his wife for that. And a huge thank you to my dad, Kevin Jules, who used his handwriting for Every Child Matters on this t-shirt. And thank you everyone for all of your support. Couldn't have done it without you. Thank you. Cookstechum.
How about a round of applause for some tremendous people doing tremendous work on behalf of the 215 founders come to Secwepemc territory. I would like to call forward Dolly Thomas, Song and Dance by Elder Dolly Thomas at Tecumseh to Secwepemc. I would like to also welcome all hand drummers and singers to start gathering at 2 o'clock. We will be doing a moment of silence at 2:10, and at 2:15 the singing will begin. 2 o'clock, please drummers and singers gather in the arbor. 2:10 is the moment of silence, and 2:15 the singing will commence.
Wait. Could I have your attention, please? We're going to, I've asked some of my family, my relatives, to come and join me. In our traditional way, we welcome the people. and as a residential school survivor, an intergenerational survivor, and a day scholar, we weren't allowed to do these things, to dance to our songs, to drum and sing our songs. I know that in the beginning they did do the welcome song, but I'd like for us to do the welcome song and dance for you, to welcome each of you here, to give our love and kindness, our generosity, to honor our children, to take care of our children in a good way. So with that, I'm going to ask all of the drummers to come over here, and we're going to do a little bit of the dance. And the dance is welcoming and giving back to all of you from our hearts, our minds, and our bodies, and our spirits. Wait.
All right, Cooks Chacham, Dolly, singers, drummers, hand drummers, please don't go too far. 2 o'clock we gather, 2:10 we're doing a moment of silence, 2:15 we start singing. Those are hard times that we're going to be sticking to, so please be ready. We do have some very special guests from the Niska Nation that would like an opportunity to share a few words for a couple of your minutes.
Hello, everybody. I would like to introduce my husband, Samoygat Skagooms from the Niska Nation. My husband is a survivor of the residential school, and with his spirituality and culture, he's still here with us. And this year we've celebrated our 50th anniversary.
Thank you. I'd like to introduce my wife. She's from Port Simpson. And she'll let you know her native name. Okay, ready?
He always has a hard time pronouncing my traditional name is Wee Luke Gidalthgamp. I am a traditional matriarch and a chief from the Tsimshian tribe. Our granddaughter is here with us. Our 4 sons are aware of where we are. Our 7 grandchildren sent their prayers and love for everybody. It's an honor to be here. It's an honor for me to bring my medicine here. It's an honor to see all the people here and to be part of this most beautiful, loving day. Thank you, everybody. Okay.
Real quick. We're going to have another beautiful song right away, but again, we're coming close to 2:10. We want to start asking the hand drummers to start gathering. We want to hit the key right at the time of 2:15, so without further ado, please, Cooksjam.
Hey!
Women's Warrior song for all the mothers that had to see their children's going off to the residential schools and never to see them come home again. And for those that did see them come home again, that was to honor you and to bring your motherhood back to you. Kukstermut kalap.
Cook's Gem, the Women's Warrior song. We're now at 2:01.
So in 9 minutes, we're doing that moment of silence. Drummers, please remain in the outer circle. That moment of silence will be at 2:10. This drumming will start at 2:15 precisely.
So I know all the hand drums are all circled already. You know, when the time comes around 2:10, right after the moment of silence, you know, we'll get into at 2:15 and we'll start hopefully from the center of the arbor and work our way out. And then it'll be an honor song and hopefully 1 or 2 round dances. And then, yes. Please sing another song until 2:10. Please, thank you, Cook's Gem.
All right, Cooks Chechen. So we're a little change of plans. We're gonna do the moment of silence at 2:14 and go right into singing after that. So you guys wanna light them up again, go ahead. And man, you think you're tough, it's cold out here, but we got shirtless or sleeveless shirts, and I seen some Daisy Dukes earlier. Man, you guys are rocking it. Let's have another song. All right, can we get you guys not afraid of the grass and start coming in a little more? You want 2 circles? Make 2 circles, sure. Interesting circle. Oh, you know, yeah, Andy Doreen had a poem too. long.
We have 1 minute. We had a band member, Ken Jensen, put up a monument for us right in front of the residential school. I just want to read what it says. This monument is dedicated to honor all survivors from the Secwepemc bands who attended the Kamloops Residential School. All suffered the genocide period in the history of the Kamloops Indian Residential School. And to honor all survivors who are not with us today, but are with us in spirit. With that, we'll go into a moment of silence.
Ten seconds. Please begin singing. right, let's keep it going. Sounding good, everybody. Sounding good. Sure.
Oh, cook stove. Is it on? Is it on? I want everybody, all the hand drummers, please join in for the Secwepemc honor song. Ho! Oh, Cook's Jam. We want to Beautiful, beautiful. If you want, let's do what we do and have one more song. call Dolly Thomas up to the stage. We're going to start preparing for our closing prayer and a farewell song. If you do want to do one more song, let's do one more.
Can I hold you? Are you okay, sweetie?
Lena, Noah, don't touch.
So for the afternoon, we have some acknowledgements to make. Our elder Dolly is going to say a prayer, and we're hoping Cookbee, Roseanne Casimir, can help with the farewell dance and the farewell song. So we need to make some acknowledgements now, and I'll let Josh, he has a special poem from Doreen Knorris that he's going to read.
This poem is by Doreen Knorris. Awaken. I heard your cry too, long my child. Awake. For you are my witness, longed for of untold stories of parallel grief. Come, Let's join is now echoed throughout. For now as one, we will be heard. For justice, to ease our unrested souls. By Doreen Canoris. Oh, and this one is good? We'll do this quick. Yeah.
You know, as we're starting to close, you know, I want to thank Kamloops Secwepemc for hosting. I want to thank all the leaders in Secwepemc Ulu who came down, all the people from the region, the province, all of Canada who've watched this stream live. This was such a memorable day that we can all appreciate. We could take our feelings, we can think about what our calls of action are, how we think about truth and reconciliation, and just look at doing things better. So I want to thank everybody who came out, in spite of everything, you know, with the COVID and the weather, and, you know, we're coming to the end of our program. I want to give a special thanks and allow Josh to say a couple of words. You know, he's such a strong community member. I phoned him yesterday morning and I said, Josh, my friend, what are you doing? What are you doing tomorrow? It's like, come and join me. Because what we're doing today, it's going to take two people, and it certainly did. So I just want to extend a round of applause for Josh and everything he's done.
I would like to take a moment to acknowledge George as well for the wonderful job as MC of today. Without him, I wouldn't have been here. Without Keith, I wouldn't have been here. So he took off on George and left him high and dry, so I took over for him. But I'm grateful to be here. If we could acknowledge George as well as our MC for doing a wonderful job today. And today has been about inspiring our future generations, and we never forget where we come from or the atrocities that we suffered, but we are strong and resilient people that are here ready to fight for what's right and the justice of our people that have perished in those residential schools. We'll move forward, we'll move upwards, we'll move forward together. Kuksechel. A person here today was inspired to build a gift for the Tecumseh to Secwepemc. They were inspired to make this with their bare hands. It took a lot of time and a lot of commitment to their work and their craft, and you can tell that they love doing what they did. So Emily Sill, if we could acknowledge you. And thank you for this gift. We present it to Kukbia Kumipula Tecumseh to Secwepemc.
Before we get to a prayer and a farewell song, again, on behalf of Kamloops Secwepemc, all of our people, thank you all. Creator bless everybody, and I'm sure we'll meet again along our journey.
We would like to welcome back Dolly Thomas, Elder Tecumseh to Secwepemc, to do our farewell song and closing prayer.
Creator of all good things, we give you thanks and blessings for this beautiful day. We give you thanks for the water that feeds, clothes, and shelters us. We give you thanks, Creator, for the trees that stand strong for each and every one of us, for our families, for our children, and those yet to be. We give you thanks for our roots, herbs, and medicines to help us to heal in a kind, gentle, loving way, to remember our spirit, to heal, to love, and to give in a kind way with one another, to take away the anger, the hate, the jealousy, the greed. Show us your humble love and kindness. Guide us in the right way, to give us hope, to give us great health, to give us our humor, to heal us, to give us our song, to sing for each and every one of you. I ask you, Creator, to bless each and every one of us here, to bless our children and our grandchildren. I ask you, Creator, to take care of those that have traveled a long way, to give them a safe journey, to fill our hearts and minds, our bodies and our spirits in unity, harmony, and balance with all living things in the four sacred directions and colors with Mother Earth and Grandfather Sky. I give you thanks, Creator, for the teachings of our life, whatever walk and journey we're on, to humbly hold one another up in a good way. I say prayers and blessings to all of those survivors that are still with us today. To all of those that have gone before us, to all of those yet to be found, I prayed that we give them rest, beauty, love, and kindness from our husband. These are the things I pray for, and I ask that you watch over and bless each and every one of us. Creator. We're going to do the farewell song and dance. We opened with the welcome song and dance, and the farewell song and dance in our way is to send you off in a good way, to give thanks for your blessings that you shared with us today in our lands. And we give you a safe journey back to share your stories of today with your family, your friends, your relatives, and your community. Cook's Jam. Hey.
So once the farewell song is over and the dances are done, that is the end of the day in our way. Secwepemc people, once that farewell song is done, that is it. So you won't be hearing from George and I or anyone else. So thank you all for putting up with us in the good day. Cookschachip. Wow, thank you, brother. And I appreciate that.
Thank you.
A lot of fun. Yeah. Thanks.
Calling Annette Thomas. Annette Thomas?
And no,